breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day. No April Fools today, although we almost didn't have me on air, so that would have been a nice April Fool's joke to have Philip open the show as the full-time host today. We got it worked out the last minute. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Glad to be here. ECU baseball starting a 5-game week. We'll be joined by Mike Mullis to break that down shortly. Philip and I will go into it as well. Mustache March is over, and now you kind of turn the page to the stretch run as ECU baseball will try to make a postseason run. We'll look at the postseason picture a little bit, where they sit with an RPI perspective, all that sort of stuff. I do want to remind people, as always, you can subscribe and follow and like our social media pages, but definitely give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have continued to grow our numbers since launching this show a couple years ago. We've seen that brand new social media page really take off. Appreciate all your support. But every time we go live, if you hit the little notifications bell, you'll know it. And along with the Patrick Johnson Show as well. Also, download the IBX Media app. You can take us on the go wherever, including tonight's game at UNCW. If you want to pay to watch Flow Sports, be my guest. But the cost is pretty stiff for one game a month. ECU plays on that channel. So you can listen to the 94.3 The Game app on the go via the IBX Media app, and you can hear Dylan Johnson, Coach O, on the call tonight in Wilmington. So, again, if you got a question, comment, drop it in the chat. We'll get to it throughout the next hour. All right, Philip Pilkington. He is back in the 94.3 The Game studios. Philip, you're not hosting. I thought for a minute you were going to have to step up and be Mike 1 and Mike 2 today.
Yeah, I was thinking so. I'm hosting Patrick's show tomorrow, so it would have been a good primer. But I will have Dom with me tomorrow. So I was telling intern Brandon that he was going to have to go grab the mic, and he was going to have to be Mike too. So we're going to have to test all his baseball knowledge. But no, we get you figured out with about 45 seconds to spare, and here we are, and we're excited. We're going to have Mike Mullis, and we're going to talk some baseball, and then I guess I'm not allowed to know what the back half of the show is going to be about, because I don't know if you're trying to stump me and see if I haven't been paying attention to the world of sports or what exactly is going on. But I'm excited for segment 3, even though I really don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, segment 3. So we finally reached, just as a little teaser, we finally reached the point of the sports calendar where there's a lot going on. I mean, you've got like NHL, NBA, the Masters are coming up, obviously Final Four. But like from an ECU standpoint, there's really not that much going on. We've got spring football, which we'll continue to talk about, and also with ECU baseball. But we're gonna quiz Philip, or at least test his knowledge, see if he's keeping up with the standings or keeping up with some certain aspects of sports going around in segment 3, and update the listeners on. You guys may not be paying attention to certain aspects of the sports world right now, so we'll kind of throw some stuff at Philip, see what he can handle in segment 3. Mike Mullis coming up as well. And obviously ECU baseball in this chat. Although Lane Smith is in the comments section, he says ECU has the best basketball program in the country. Maybe we should just talk about basketball just to appease Lane.
Don't get Lane started on basketball, man. We know that he is not a basketball fan. If it's not the NCAA tournament, he ain't watching. So I feel like he'd turn us off if we started just rambling about basketball.
I would like to talk more hoops, but there's really not. I mean, there's like those lists where recruits in the transfer portal list, hey, we've been contacted by school X, Y, and Z, and it's got like 30 teams listed, and ECU is one of those teams. I mean, like, it's probably not worth taking the time, Philip, to like pull 10 of those names and break them down, because like we just don't know how serious ECU is. So we'll hold off on that for the time being. There's a wave to this thing, and right now ECU's kind of obviously in probably the third tier. I mean, you got the big boys, and you got the bigger boys, and then you got the American and everybody else that follows. So they're having to wait and see how this thing all plays out. But I don't know. Like, I feel like basketball transfer portal talk, maybe we can get into that more next week if it starts to finalize a little bit on who's going where at the top.
Yeah, like I said, until those big dominoes fall, nothing's going to happen. And, I mean, obviously, Elliot Cadeau has signed with Michigan, it sounds like. So that was kind of the first big one. But I mean, let's be honest. There's 4 teams still playing basketball, right? Well, there's 4 teams playing for a national championship. You got 4 teams left in the NIT, and you got 12. Yeah, you got 12 teams left in the Crown. So there's so much going on right now. I mean, it's why even worry about getting into it? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm worried about 8:50 on Saturday night, and that's the only college basketball I'm worried about.
So we'll talk baseball for Lane and Phillip, or not ECU basketball, I guess. And what's interesting, Phillip, is we looked at this stretch of games that ECU baseball has kind of just wrapped up, to be honest, like dating back to the end of the Coastal Series. At that point, they had VCU, they had William and Mary for 5. Between those 2 teams, had 5 games. Then they had a stretch of UNCW in Fayetteville on a neutral site, Memphis at home for 3, at Duke, and then at Rice. Like we kind of said, the Pirates either need to sweep these weekend series or lose at most 1, hopefully split the midweeks. And I feel like ECU did kind of what they needed to do to stay alive as far as an at-large bid. Now, we're still only on April 1st. ECU right now, as we sit here today, 82nd in the RPI, which is not great. But if you look at their upcoming schedule, the conference isn't fantastic in RPI, but it is in a much better position than it's been in the past. And honestly, ECU has gotten the 2 worst RPI teams out of the way in the league. So you've got a chance to, if you continue to win baseball games, improve your resume. You've got FAU this weekend. They're 79. You also have Charlotte, which is just outside the top 100. I want to say Tulane, Wichita, just outside the top 100. And you finish with UTSA and South Florida, which are both top 50 right now. So it's not great, Phillip, the position ECU's in, but they're definitely not dead yet as a result of what they were able to do these past few weeks.
Yeah, going 11-2 in those games was huge. Obviously, you'd like to have either taken the UNCW or the Duke game, but you get another shot at UNCW tonight. And yes, we're going to call it a 3-game series against UNCW. Yes, it's not being played in a series mindset, but from an RPI standpoint, you're playing them 3 times. It's the only team you play 3 times that you're not playing on a weekend. With that being said, their RPI was pretty good a couple weeks ago. We saw them. Then they lost 2 out of 3 to A&T. Now their RPI is in the 90s. Come on, Sea Chickens. What are you doing? You're losing to a football school that has never been good at baseball, and you're hosing everybody. So let's hope their bad baseball continues tonight, and we wreck those stupid Sea Chickens down in their home turf, and then they only play one more bad game the rest of the year, and that's when they come to Greenville, because honestly, we need them to play well. We need Duke to continue to win conference series. But the tough thing is they beat NC State this week, and we see State twice as many times as we see Duke. So maybe that was 2 weekends ago. All my weekends are running together. So the weird thing about the RPI, it's 25% what you do, 25% who you play, and then it's like 50% who the people you play, which is stupid and it's flawed. But at the end of the day, we play some teams that do play tough schedules. We just need them to win in those tough games.
And this thing is still fluctuating to a large extent. So we had Coach on recently, and he kind of said April 1st is really the date you start looking at it. Well, we're here to give you an idea of like what a game like tonight can mean. Now you do get a massive. I don't know if massive is an overstatement, but you do get a serious bump for winning on the road. So East Carolina, if you go to their RPI page in Warren Nolan, you can click like impact games, and it will break it down. Essentially what the win means on paper. ECU gains 40 RPI points. Now, that's not spots in the standings, but for example, right now they're 82nd. If they won tonight, they would at least jump up 10 spots to the low 70s by virtue of, say, for example, Miami is 72nd right now, ECU 82nd, but there's only 31 RPI points to separate Miami from ECU. So it shows just how slim of a margin it is.
Yeah, but what happens if Miami wins tonight? That's probably you got to click on every team. Who's above you?
I mean, if you want to get in that much in the weeds, you can, and that's certainly a factor. But at least if you win tonight, you're probably going to be somewhere in the low 70s, just based on the movement across the country. Because there's like 10 other teams in between. Now, if all those teams win, then maybe you don't move up as much as you thought. But you would essentially gain around 10 spots, and if you lose, you're going to lose 10 spots because 91 is New Orleans. They are 29 spots ahead or behind ECU, and then ECU, if they lose tonight, loses 46 RPI points. So you could be, that's the difference of 20 spots in theory, Philip. So it kind of shows how much a midweek road game means. Now, the problem is you play Elon at home tomorrow. Even if you win that game, I think you're going to lose RPI points. So just kind of showing the margin there is not as big as it may seem as far as the difference in points. So if ECU wins these next two games, they're sitting in a good spot heading into the weekend. But if you split, you're probably going to be, maybe even a little lower than what you are now.
Yeah, what's dumb about this thing? Why do you gain 40 for winning on the road but lose 46 for losing on the road? I thought you were supposed to be awarded for winning on the road.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
And I guess they are a little lower than us in RPI, so that's got something to do with it. And I know certainly the question you were asking me or the statement you were making.
But this
wanting
whole
me to
stuff
comment
is
on,
stupid.
It's terrible. I mean, look, Ken Palm is what's right for basketball. We need to get a Ken Palm version of baseball and football. Let's look at the numbers. Who are the top 4 teams in Ken Palm? 4 teams that made the Final Four. They're actually 4 of the top 10 Ken Palm teams of all time, only one of which has failed to make the national championship game. Obviously, regardless of the outcome, that number will become 3 after Saturday. But, I mean, this system's just so weird. Why are you moving? Why do we have a 20-spot difference based on if you win one game? Now, football, okay. You only play 12. Well, you play 56 games, and you're telling me we have a 20-spot roughly difference based off a win or a loss to a team that theoretically, based off this metric, is about the same as us, and you're playing them on the road. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And it's a midweek game.
Yeah, but that doesn't even get factored in. That's the dumb part.
It should all be somehow factored in. Like, weekend games should count more because nobody's throwing their guys in the midweek. So I don't know. It's just the system's broken.
Bring Trey Savage back to throw on
sports.
Tuesdays, man. He's got 1 year eligibility left. Come on.
Hey, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. Although he's probably ready to get into the bigs here. Probably this time next year he'll be pitching in the big leagues or close to it. Yeah, look, we'll get more into RPI, but just kind of wanted to give people a sense of where ECU sits, and we'll take a look each week at where the Pirates sit. I do want to ask you, Philip, before we take a break, and I'll ask Mullis the same question when he joins us on the other side. But ECU, 11-2 in their last 13. Now, the schedule's a big part of that. But what has gone right during this stretch to keep ECU afloat, so to speak, and what do they need to do to continue this surge that they've been on?
Well, not in all these games because the 2 losses, they did a lot of it. They've limited the free 90s. I know we sit there and we talk about it all the time, but it's such a big thing in college baseball, I think, as to how many times you just give up freebies. And you look at that second game against Rice on Saturday where you got down, you weren't necessarily hitting the ball real well. Well, why'd you come back? Not because the offense got hot, but because you didn't give them runs that allowed them to extend the lead. All we had to do was score 1 run late to force extras, and then you know what happens. Anytime you get to extras, anything can happen. So it's just like Game 7. They've limited them, and, in the innings that they haven't, I mean, you look at Sunday, you get down big early. Well, why'd you get down big early? Too many free 90s. Was it Sunday? Or was it Saturday? What game was it where it was like out, and then it was like walk, hit by pitch, walk, balk? Was that Saturday or Sunday?
That was Saturday. Yeah, that was Saturday. They
had
you get 8
down early.
free passes in that game.
Yeah, you get down. You had to beat a bad team in extras because you gave up too many free passes. But if you look at when the free passes were, they were early in the game. When you started playing well at the end of the game is when they quit giving them.
Yep, the only 2 losses during the stretch, 10 free passes against UNCW and 10 free passes against Duke. Obviously, those offenses have a lot to do with that, but that is really a direct correlation right now between ECU's wins and losses.
They ain't using torpedo bats to throw strikes.
This is true. Man, we need some torpedo bats. The Mariners need some, but that's a whole other discussion. All right, we will get a break in. We'll come back. We'll be joined by Mike Mullis. We'll get his take. 5-game week ahead. A lot of baseball in a short amount of time. Starts tonight at UNCW. We'll talk to Mully about that and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Are you ready to tackle those yard and garden projects? Come by East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, your local Coyote dealer, and check out their great selection of residential and commercial Coyote tractors. From zero-turn mowers to compact tractors to skid steer loaders, they've got you covered. Some with 0% financing for qualified buyers. Stop by your hometown Coyote dealer, East Carolina Tractor and Fleet, across from the Pitt County Fairgrounds, or online at ectfleet.com. East Carolina Tractor and Fleet. We dig dirt.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville. Do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. You get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome in, Hoist the Colors. It is our second segment. We just talked some ECU baseball with Philip Pilkington and myself. We'll now welcome in Mike Mullis, the color analyst for many of the ECU baseball home games. Mully, it's been a few weeks since we got you on. I think the Pirates are 11-2 since then, and I want to say you mentioned, hey, the schedule might get pretty favorable, allow the Pirates to win some baseball games. That has happened. But what has led to some of these wins besides the schedule maybe lightening up a little bit from your perspective?
I mean, I think obviously they've played better spurts, and they've kind of grown into, and of course we've talked a lot about, we don't want to use the young term, but they've grown up a lot, and that obviously makes a big difference. But I do think the schedule leveling out has had a lot to do with it. And we've seen with Coach Galvin going back to third base, we've seen a little more of what we're kind of used to out of a Cliff Galvin run offense. I mean, when 7 sack bunts the other day, and I know people kind of joke about the bunts, but when you have a team and listen, those 2 arms, the first 2 guys for Rice were not bad. So I mean, you got to do what you got to do to manufacture runs, and they're hard to come by. But I think kind of all those things together, man, I think that's kind of been where you've seen the worm kind of start to turn.
Mike Mullis with us talking ECU baseball. Pirates sweep Rice over the weekend. We'll take a look at the week ahead starting tonight with UNCW. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Mully, 7 sack bunts. I looked it up, tied a school record back in 1987 against James Madison. On one hand, it's pretty amazing you're executing that many. You're also giving away 7 outs out of 27, so I can see it both ways. But I don't know your take on it, and I think they got down just about every sack bunt they tried to. So Is that too many? Is it just you do what you got to do to win a baseball game? How do you kind of evaluate that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the latter. I think, you know, you do what you have to do, and you kind of know what the temperature is of your team, and it's like, okay, you know, hey, maybe we're, you know, maybe there's a feeling that, you know, East Carolina has struggled against breaking stuff. So, okay, hey, we go, listen, this guy's got a really good breaking ball, and, you know, maybe we don't want to test it. So the theory being, yeah, you could count those 7 outs given away, but they're also 7 productive outs, as opposed to if you go up there and take your swings, they may or may not be productive. I mean, it's the risk of the opportunity. So I mean, it's you know, it's like stealing a bag. You know, people go, oh, we ran ourselves out of the inning. Well, you know, we had to take a shot at it, and you know, it either works or it doesn't work. Every play call by a coach is a great idea until it doesn't work. So I mean, that's just part of being down there and being the guy that you know makes that decision. But you know, I think it's, again, an answer to, is it too much or not enough? You know, if you're winning ball games doing it, then you certainly don't change it. I mean, if you think back to the club, was it back in 2001 that hosted Texas here in the Super, that club would lay a bunt down at any time. We saw bases loaded squeeze. We saw, you know, with that particular crowd, and it's just it was an offensive weapon for them. I mean, if you have 7 sack flies, or if you have 7 ground balls at advanced runners, you think that's you know, man, what a great day, great job executing the offense. They were really sound in the approach. The difference is it's just a bunt. It's not, you know, not quite as sexy.
Yeah, and it's kind of, in many ways, that's, you know, I'm not saying this is going to be that same team that hosted the Texas and Super Regional, but like you start looking at it, a lot of small ball being played, Mully, and the pitching. That year, you only had C.J. Mayhew as kind of like a set starter. The rest of it was inning by inning. This year, you've got Ethan Norby as a set starter, and really beyond that, you've got some relievers you're obviously counting on game in and game out, week in and week out. But right now, it's kind of taking some parallels to that season, at least in terms of like the pitching standpoint. Hey, let's just go out there and close out 1 inning at a time. What do you make of where the pitching is right now?
Man, it is. They are Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde for sure. I mean, it's a situation where, you know, you look at the strikeout numbers, you look at the ERA, you know, if you look at those measurables, then you're like, man, what a great staff. And then you get over to the base on ball column and even the hit by pitch column, there's some big numbers. And it's been consistently the bullpen arms. And I say the bullpen arms, like you kind of alluded to now, even with Sean Jenkins going to the bullpen. I guess everybody but Norby would be considered a bullpen arm at this point. But it's been those guys coming in out of the pen that have largely had the struggles. Go back to the Memphis series. That was such a clean series for East Carolina against a Memphis team that is much improved, but is certainly not where they want to be. But so much of it was the success of the bullpen. So, you know, these midweek games have been issues as far as free passes. And, you know, when you look at the outs given up versus the sack bunt, and then you look at the free passes given up versus the base on balls or hit by pitch, those are the numbers that really concern you, you know, as a coach. And when you sit back and go, man, how can we, you know, instead of giving up an out for productivity, we're giving free passes on bases. And, you know, you can't allow 10 free passes and think you have a legitimate chance to beat even a reasonably decent team.
Yeah, both losses during this 11-2 stretch, they had 10 free passes against Duke and UNCW, which obviously those teams have a lot to do with that too, with a good plate approach. How about Jake Hunter, Mully, on Saturday? Just a game for the ages with the single, and then obviously getting the win on the mound. Just how cool was that to see?
Yeah, especially a guy that's bounced back from injury, and you know he's kind of a hometown hero here around Greenville. He's been around for a while, and which is you know kind of rare in today's environment. So yeah, I mean, great for him, and you know it's the second pitcher that I can remember that not named Alec Burleson or you know some of these guys, but a quote unquote PO. You had that situation with Jake Kuchmaner a number of years back that. Cliff kind of found himself in a situation where he had kind of emptied the bench and had to make a move, or didn't have a move to make, rather, and sent Cooch to the plate. And if I remember correctly, he had a big RBI single. But Yeah, good for Jake, and I'm sure he probably and very well deserved went back into the dugout. Was like telling the hitters how easy this stuff is. I'm batting 1,000 boys, and I'm gonna go close the game out. So, yeah, good for him. A good old fashioned little league day.
No doubt, it was a game he'll always remember. With the lineup, Mully, the story of Braden Burris, well documented at this point, but we haven't had a chance to really dive into him on this show, at least me and you. And man, obviously everything he does is impressive. The way he plays defense at multiple spots, but you look at his bat to ball skills. And he doesn't walk a lot, but he also doesn't strike out. I mean, he did strike out. I think it was 4 times in the second game of the season. But now, since then, I think he struck out 3 times the rest of the year. He's got 7 Ks on the year compared to 12 walks, 4 hit by pitches, a 500 on base percentage. He's still in bases. Just what has he meant to this lineup as a freshman?
Oh, look, man, as a freshman, a senior, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's been a plug for sure, and he has certainly helped to ignite that offense, the success that they have had. It's very difficult to sack bunt when you don't have anybody on base. I've never seen it work out. So, you got to have base runners out there for that philosophy to pan out, and he's done a great job, man, of getting on. And he's a pretty good example. If you'll think back to go back to opening weekend and the doubleheader out of the gate, and he strikes out 4 times in the second game, and then kind of disappears. You see him used sparingly, kind of off the bench, and he may come in a pinch run. You may see him play a little bit of defense late, but I think the staff probably decided, hey, we got to take a little bit off this guy and let him kind of grow into this. And I don't know, 8-10 games later, he's back out there in an everyday capacity, and he has been exceptional. But I think that can be said. You look at the productivity they've been able to get out of Trammell, and and the kind of conversely, Peltier was, coming out of that Carolina series, he was wearing it out. He made 3 loud outs in game 2 against Carolina, then comes back in the final game and has 3 hits and actually a 4th swing that was a bullet as well. So, but he's kind of come back to earth and figuring, he's got to figure some things out, but he does give you, he gives you such a good look as a defensive outfielder, the best arm in the outfield. But yeah, I mean, Burris has certainly has come into his own.
When you look at the rest of this lineup, Mully, it does feel like they are starting to find an identity, whether it be the bunts or just kind of getting Riley Johnson back into the swing of things. Although, Cliff Godwin said yesterday he's now dealing with the shoulder again after dealing with the abdomen area. So that bears watching going forward. Just, do you feel like this offense is starting to take shape a little bit as they start to get their feet under them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still, trying to find an identity, and we'll again, the Pirates have seen some good arms, but I think that the class of the conference is out front of them. Having played at this point, at least this early in the standings, kind of the 2 bottom teams in the conference, in Memphis and Rice, and but I think that picks up a little bit this weekend with FAU, and I'm just telling you, man, I just think UTSA, that's going to be a really big series on the back end of the season that is going to have a lot of implications as to where everybody ends up. First and foremost, with an opportunity to win the conference. Secondly, with how it's going to bear out in the conference tournament. So, yeah, I think they're finding themselves to a point. I think it's going to be a constant reinvention. And what I mean by that is I fully expect to see, 4, 5, 6 sack bunts in another handful of games, and then we may go a few games and not see near as many, based on the pitch and matchup and kind of where they feel like the guys are.
A couple more things with Mike Mullis. We'll get him out of here. And Coach, we talked with Coach Godwin yesterday. He kind of said, and I asked him about the Duke incident. You may have addressed this on Patrick's show last week, Mully, but he basically said after the walk from Tyler Albright's, where the guy, he was trash talking Lance Williams and spiked his bat, he said something to the umpire, Coach Godwin did, and he said something to Eric Tyler, coaching first base, and that he didn't say anything to Tyler Albright, but the Duke coach may have thought. I don't know. Like I feel like the showmanship by the Duke batter was a little much and was warranted of some of the reaction we saw. But what was your take on that whole situation? And was Coach Godwin in the right to back up his guys, as was maybe Chris Pollard?
Well, Buddy, we've been around each other for a long time, and I'm cut from a little older piece of leather. I'll be totally honest with you, and I'm sure I'll hear about this, but I think as a whole, it's gotten out of control, and really in all levels of baseball. When a guy doubles now, and everybody is wondering what the celebration is going to be, that was never a thing, and quite frankly, the game had a way of policing itself where, if it was make somebody uncomfortable at the plate or, there was a hard slide at second bat. Whatever it was, there were ways that a lot of folks thought, well, why are they throwing at him? And why are these things happening? And it was quite frankly, for lack of a better way to put it, it was the enforcement of sportsmanship and maybe less than sportsmanlike ways, but it's the way it kind of had always been. So, we've seen some exuberance out of some Pirate players as well, and obviously the one that comes right to mind is Kalinich, but we see a lot of, and he has calmed it way down, but we see a lot with, Irby is fairly animated at the plate, and Kalinich is still very animated at the plate, and and then, so I guess it's fortunately, unfortunately, whichever side you kind of stand on, it's just become maybe a part of the game, but the rules are the rules from a standpoint of, and I say the rules, not necessarily the rule book rules, but those unwritten rules. You don't necessarily try to show up the other team if you celebrate your success. All those things, and listen, talking to other coaches or other players is obviously frowned upon, and if Coach Godwin said he didn't do it, then we have no reason to believe that he didn't do it. But I don't know, man. It's almost like if you dish it out, be prepared to take it. And I think the entirety of the game is there, and people don't like when it happens against them, but then they're not hesitant to do it against others. So and that's not a statement about East Carolina or Duke specifically. I just think that's where the game is.
Makes a lot of sense for sure. All right, final thing, Mully. UNCW tonight on the road. Pirates did not play well in Fayetteville a couple of weeks ago. Just your take on this game tonight, and really kicking off an important 5-game week for the Pirates, where they need to continue to stack wins if possible.
Yeah, you got 2 midweek games, so that's a test in and of itself. We've already talked about kind of where the pitching staff is, and so they're going to. When a guy goes out and you have an expectation of him giving you 2, 3, 4 innings, then you really need to be able to try to get that out of him to kind of stay on schedule, and that'll be tested in these next 2 games. And obviously Wilmington is a very, very solid club, and they're kind of trying to find themselves as well. It's kind of been a little bit of an up and down season for them, maybe underachieving to this point. But it's big, and then you turn around and. East Carolina's done a great job of staying hot and kind of creating a little separation. It's very little separation, but a little bit of separation in the conference, which is most important because you just look at this conference top to bottom and you go, okay, I think it's clearly only a 1-bid league unless you have the winner and the conference tournament winner being different, but. So the winning of the conference is probably more important than it's ever been, and I think it's going to be a little more challenging than it's been as well when you look at UTSA again, who I think is really good. UNC Charlotte's going to give you a fit. There are some teams out there that are. It's going to be very competitive. So, yeah, it's a big week. You want to try to get both these midweek, but certainly you need to take care of business on the weekend.
He is Mike Mullis. Mike, we appreciate it as always, man. Always great to hear from you, and we'll hear you on the broadcast at some point this week on ESPN Plus. Appreciate it as always.
Absolutely, buddy. Talk to you very soon.
That is Mike Mullis talking ECU baseball. We'll catch up with him again down the road talking Pirate baseball. All right, we're going to break in. We'll come back. Philip and I will hit on some of the other things going on in the sports world. I'll throw out a few quizzes in Philip's direction, see how he does in response to that. We'll be right back. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hey, it's Jim Wells again with Wells Roofing and Gutters here in the beautiful community of Lindale, Bedford. At Wells Roofing and Gutters, we believe in quality first, and that's why we use Certainty shingles, which are manufactured in Oxford, North Carolina, a local company. In the event you ever do have a claim or a problem with your roof system, they're local and they come and take care of us in a timely manner. We could leave off some accessories and we could certainly save money, but we believe at Wells Roofing and Gutters in installing the correct way per manufacturer requirements, and we warranty your roof both in-house and also with our supplier who is Certainteed. For a job well done, no shortcuts taken, and a good quality job on your home, give us a call today, 252-227-8403. We also offer financing, 12 months, no interest, no payments.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in Hoist the Colors. We talked a lot of ECU baseball. If you want to continue that discussion or you got any questions, drop them in the chat, YouTube, or Facebook. Philip Pilkington back alongside. Cameron does want to know, why is there a random postseason basketball tournament starting tonight? Also, why is Tulane in it? Makes no sense. I guess he's talking about the Crown.
Yeah, it started yesterday.
This is like a Fox. Yeah, this is like a Fox Sports thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're basically just trying to put the NIT out of business, and they also are paying NIL money, I believe, for teams that win or teams that participate. So that is a factor, but this is a TV revenue type of deal, Cameron. And I guess that's why it's happening. Lane adds, we need a strong 3 innings from the starter tonight. And he also adds, I'm not paying for Flow Sports tonight to watch us lose a 1-run game. Yeah, the baseball game tonight on Flow Sports. All right, Philip, are you ready to dive into this? You don't really know what we're doing. So
no, I don't. I know that it is current sports news,
Yep.
but sports could be like, NFL, or it could be like pickleball. Please don't want to be pickleball. I know nothing about pickleball.
This is basically a way for, honestly, myself and also the listeners to get updated on what's happening in current events. There's a lot happening. Also, in some cases, we'll be looking ahead to what's going to happen. But first, we'll start with an easy one, because this is right up your alley. NASCAR Cup Series points leader. Who is currently leading the NASCAR circuit in points? Philip
William
Pilkington.
Byron.
Your boy, William Byron.
It's a lot closer after this week than it was last week.
259. He's got 3 top 5 finishes and a win. Kyle Larson on his heels at 243. Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, and Alex Bowman round out the top 5. So, William Byron, I guess you can't be anything but happy with him being first at this point.
Yeah, they've had actually they've shot themselves in the foot a few times. There's also been some bad luck. 3 of the last 4 weeks, they've pitted in the middle of a green flag stop and been pinned a lap down by a caution. So to have that happen and still be first in the points is big. He's doing a good job scoring stage points. He's up over 70 on the season and running pretty consistent. Rudy and the guys built a good car and they've had good speed. So only 7 races in, long way to go. But we'll get ready and head to Darlington this weekend.
It is a very, very long season, but a good start for your guy for sure. All right, April 7th, there's a very significant thing happening in the sports world. Do you have any idea what it is? It's kind of vague. If I gave up too many details, it'd be too obvious.
This coming up Sunday.
This would be this Sunday. It is not an on-field.
Okay.
It's not like a match or anything.
Okay, because I was going to say, I think that's the women's national championship game, I think, is next Sunday. So,
well, that's probably is also going on, but yes.
Off the field. So, NFL league meetings are not until the first week of May. Is it Baseball Hall of Fame voting?
It is not. It is it involves a significant court date for college sports.
Has this got something to do with the July 1st and the revenue share ruling?
Correct. This is the final court date, House versus NCAA, Sunday, April 7th. Judge Claudia Wilkin is presiding, and this will be the final approval of the settlement. So basically, barring something unforeseen, this Sunday we should get the final ruling, and then I think we'll see a bunch of dominoes fall from that point forward. Now, my understanding is, I've talked with John Gilbert, at some point after that, we're going to get him on the show to kind of have basically an hour-long tell-all on how to explain all this, because there's a lot to unpack here, Philip.
All right, good. I like doing the research on this to an extent, but it's just so much to keep up with. So I'm glad someone that's going to be fully involved can just come on and, yeah.
Because I have no idea what's going on. I mean, I've got a semblance of an idea, but like in reality, I don't know really what it all means. All right, Major League Baseball. We are, in some cases, only 3 games into a season for some teams. In other cases, 6 games in, if you count the Dodgers, as they have played 6 games of the Japan series. There are 3 unbeaten teams in Major League Baseball. Can you name them?
Well, the Dodgers are one of them.
6-0.
Yep. Ooh, that's tough. I'm trying to go through real quick. I know the Braves are winless.
The Braves are. I was going to ask which.
Then it's whoever the Braves played this past weekend. So the Padres have to be on this list because they swept the Braves. And
they're 5-0.
Yeah, the Twins are winless. I know that. So it would be whoever the Twins played this past weekend. They started a series with the White Sox yesterday. I know that. White Sox are 2-2. I don't know who the Twins played this past weekend, but it's whoever swept the Twins over the weekend.
The team that swept the Twins, as I'm trying to find it, because I actually think it's a different team.
Did this team lose yesterday?
The team that swept the Twins was the Cardinals.
Okay.
Correct? Yes, yep. The Cardinals swept the Twins and lost yesterday.
Okay.
So there's one unbeaten team in the AL East.
Oh, it's the AL East. Oh, it's the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees are 3-0. They've only played 3 games.
Okay. So the Yankees, Padres, and Dodgers. And then winless teams would be are the Tigers still winless, or did they win last night? I didn't check last night.
The Tigers unfortunately beat the Mariners.
Okay.
So the Tigers are not winless. That you mentioned the Braves, you mentioned the Twins. There's one more winless team in the National League.
Yeah.
That played the Yankees.
Oh, the Brewers.
The Brewers are 0-4 with a minus 32 run differential.
Yeah, Nasty Nestor's return to Yankee Stadium was not good. 2 innings, 8 runs given up. So, sorry, Nasty Nestor. You ain't too nasty anymore.
Did you see Steve Hill in the chat? He says there's now in in Daily Fantasy Sports. He says that he just included all the torpedo bat users. But if you go to DraftKings, there is a torpedo bat tab where you can bet on basically all the players that are using torpedo bats. So this is where it's come to. But, man, crazy stuff. All right, let me see. All right, the Masters is not this weekend, but next weekend. Is it too early to look at the Masters, Philip? I say no.
It's never too early to look at the Masters, baby.
Scotty Scheffler is the obvious favorite. Who do you think Vegas has as the second most likely to win the tournament via the odds?
It's got to be Rory, because they're going to bait people into betting on Rory, and he's going to have one really good round out of the first 2 days and one really bad round. He's going to be just on the cusp of, like, is he a contender in the weekend? And then he's just going to play average golf all weekend.
You're right. Rory McIlroy, the clear second favorite, and he's followed by John Rahm, Ludwig Aberg. Am I pronouncing that right?
Ludwig Aberg.
Ludwig Aberg.
If you didn't just ask me, I would know. I think it's Aberg, yeah.
And then Colin Morikawa. So those are your top 5 favorites as of today. I don't know if that'll change between now and when the Masters
I just
starts.
remembered it's Oberg. Now that we weren't saying it 40 times, yeah, sorry.
Yep, Oberg. All right, so there's your Masters winners' favorites. So somebody unexpected will win, I'm sure. All right, we know the men's Final Four. Can you name the women's Final Four, Philip?
South Carolina, who is a 1. UConn, who is
correct.
a 2. They knocked off USC, who is a 1. And it's the other 2 1 seeds, because it's 3 1s. And those teams are named. I want to say Notre Dame.
Incorrect. I think they were a 1, or at least the top team, but lost.
Okay, they must have been a 2. Like I said, it's 3 1s. The only one that didn't make it's USC, but Juju Watkins tore ACL in the round of 32. They beat Kansas State, but then they lost to UConn in the Elite Eight. So it's the other 2 1 seeds. LSU?
Nope.
I clearly didn't look at the women's bracket.
I figured this one might sub you. Everybody knows South Carolina. South Carolina will play Texas, who is a 1, and UConn will play UCLA, who is a 1.
Yeah. That's right. I knew UCLA was a 1 because there were 2 West Coast teams. Because I think they split with SC during the regular season. Like that was like their only loss.
So there, yeah. How about UConn? Not a 2, but still making it. I saw Gino was mad they were underdog.
Yeah.
Come on now.
But Gino was ticked, and then like Don Staley was complaining about them not being the number 1 overall seed, which was stupid. They ended up getting Duke in the Elite Eight. Duke had them beat too. Duke kind of blew that one. And, yeah, I mean, Gino, you complain you're a 2, but then the 1 has their best player tear ACL. So, you know what, Gino, your magic worked.
No doubt. All right, quick, we'll get a couple quick more before our final break. All right, in the NBA playoffs, I think there's only like 7 or 8 regular season games left. So the playoffs will be here before we know it. Can you tell me the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference as it stands today?
Cavs would be the 1, Celtics the 2. Is it the Knicks?
The Knicks are 3rd.
Okay.
Well done. Cavs are 60-15. The Celtics 56-19. Knicks are 47-27. They are 3.5 games up on the Pacers. Honestly, after you get through the first 3 teams in the East, it's kind of terrible right now.
It is, but the
Bucks
West
are
is the
banged up.
opposite. Like there's like only a few games separating the Nuggets in 3rd and like the Kings in 10th. It's like a 7 or an 8 game thing. I mean, it's a bloodbath in the West right now.
It is. Speaking of, who are the top 4 teams in the West?
Top 4. So you guys are 3.
Yep.
I want to say the Lakers are 4. Is that right?
They are 1 game behind the Nuggets for 4th.
Okay. So Chet and the Thunder have got to be 1. Right?
Yep, they're 63-12. They're 14.5 games up on the second place team.
Wow. It's not Golden State. Is it the
Golden State is 6th.
6th, yeah. Is it like the?
It is the Rockets.
Is the Rockets? Okay.
Yep. The Rockets are 1.5 games up on the Nuggets for 2nd. Worth noting, the Nuggets, I believe, closed the season at Houston, so that could be a standings game. All right, we'll get a break in. When we come back, I'll hit you with one more of these to wrap up the show, at least. Maybe I'll come up with another one as well. This is Hoist the Colors.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Your roof is a vital part of protecting your home and family from dangerous storms and hurricanes. At Assist Roofing, we install and maintain metal roofing that provides precise protection. Add value to your home while lowering utility costs with a fortified roof to last a lifetime. With 0% financing, grants, and Energy Star Green Roofing tax credit available. Call us to schedule a free consultation so you can weather any storm with confidence.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's cut in color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
If you are interested in living longer and living stronger, Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine is accepting new patients for a limited time. Finding a caring physician can be a challenge. Dr. Billy Smith is board certified in physical medicine and lifestyle medicine and has been practicing in the area for many years. Call for an appointment now to Eastern Physical and Lifestyle Medicine, 252-364-1108 in Greenville. That number again is 252-364-1108.
Looking for a great deal on a new Nissan?
At Greenville Nissan, we've got a great selection of new Nissans for under $30,000.
The stylish Nissan Sentra, offering top-notch fuel economy. The Nissan Altima, known for its comfort and technology.
The Nissan Kicks, the perfect combination with its compact design and performance. The Nissan Versa, delivering incredible value without compromising on features. And don't forget the Nissan Rogue, an award winner for 10 years in a row. Drive it home just for $22 down and $349 a month.
Visit GreenvilleNissan.com today.
Greenville Nissan, where we drive to serve.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Alrighty.
Back to the show with Steve and I go on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, final segment here. We've talked a lot of ECU baseball today. We're now kind of doing a random sports update / trivia segment with Philip Pilkington. Philip, are you enjoying this at all?
Yeah, this is kind of fun. This is no, it's good. I mean, heck, if it's pressure and I fold under it, then I'm going to laugh at myself, and you're going to laugh at me, and the listeners are going to laugh. It's going to be fun.
All right. Well, you honestly, you're doing really good thus far. And
yeah, normally I at least know the ones though in the women's tournament. That was kind of bad. But other than that,
yeah. You know, look, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. The women's tournament clearly not your strength, but you're doing fine. I got a couple more ready to go. We'll see how much time we got. NHL, which I felt you followed pretty closely, although the Bruins are kind of out of it this year, so that may affect us. They've lost 8 in a row while they're struggling. According to Google, which I assume is right, 3 teams have clinched playoff berths already. Now, the playoffs don't start until April 19th.
Yeah.
Can you name those 3 teams?
So Winnipeg's got the most points, so I'm guessing Winnipeg has.
They have 106 points. They have clinched.
Yeah. Probably Toronto and Washington would be my 3 guesses.
Washington, you're dead on. They have 103 points. I was reading they've already clinched home ice in the playoffs as well. And then Toronto has not clinched yet. They're close. The Dallas Stars have clinched in the Western Conference. So those are your 3 NHL teams. All right, final question. The D1 baseball top 25 is out. There are 5 non-power teams in the top 25. Now, can you name two of them?
So Dallas Baptist moved up this week. They moved in. And McNeese is really hard on the RPI, but I don't think they're actually ranked. Are they?
They are not ranked in this top 25.
Dang.
They may be ranked in one of the other 50 top 25s. I don't know.
Yeah. Is Troy still ranked?
Troy is still ranked. They are one spot ahead of Coastal Carolina, which is still in, which Troy took a series from them. So Troy's 20th, Coastal 21st, Dallas Baptist 17th. Southern Miss is 13th, and the highest team is UC Irvine at 12.
Oh, wow.
So you've got five teams in the top 25.
Good day to be UC Irvine, man. You're ranked high in baseball, and you're playing the NIT semifinals tonight.
Man, I should have hit you with some NIT trivia.
Hey, who is the one American team in the NIT semifinals? I'm coming at you. I will tell you they're usually in the NIT semifinals, like every year.
North Texas.
Yo, buddy. Mean Green.
That's it? All right.
Yeah.
Is their coach still coaching?
I have no idea. I haven't really paid attention.
He
I
got
just
hired
literally
away
looked it
by
up earlier.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's still coaching or not. Ross Hodge going to West Virginia. All right. We're out of time. I enjoyed that. We'll have to run that back again maybe tomorrow because I don't have a guest plan yet. Philip, let me know if you want to run it back. I'll come up with some more trivia. Thursday, we'll be joined by Casey or Bailey. Maybe we'll get one of the interns in here tomorrow. This was fun. Appreciate Mike Mullis. We'll recap the ECU UNCW game tomorrow at 12 noon. See you then, and take your questions as always. Talk to you then.
This has been